Once again, thank you, everyone in attendance, for participating in local township government. And with that, we'll begin with the approval or review of the last meeting's minutes. Are there any additions, corrections?
I had none. Let me say for me.
I didn't have anything either, so.
I'm not that smart of a guy, so I'm looking at this. Is this how we want to say this? Motion by Michael Troy and second by Eugene Gill to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees held on 17. Amended to include motions are contingent upon prosecutor approval. We didn't amend that. I guess, are we saying we amended it to the minutes? Because we actually said that at
In
the
the
meeting. In the meeting.
Right.
We
No,
didn't
we didn't.
amend it to the,
We did it, well, we interlineated it in the minutes, so.
well, I'm
So you
asking.
Well, we made the
You
statement.
changed the
We,
minutes.
we changed the minute, but we made the motion was contingent upon the prosecutor's approval the night of that meeting.
We did.
We
Right.
didn't amend it to say that because we thought it was wrong.
Right,
You know,
yeah, but then this was from last week's
Right.
meeting where you mentioned that, so that was actually
So-
stated in that meeting, that, by the way, because we mentioned that when we were looking at the
Okay.
minutes, because the minutes didn't have them in it.
okay, it just sounds to me, if somebody didn't know that and was looking at this, they go, oh, they changed it.
Yeah,
because they
I
didn't
understand,
make
I
the-"
understand what you're
Okay.
saying.
All
Yeah,
right.
maybe that's
Does
not.
that make sense to everybody?
Maybe
Yes.
that's not.
Okay, because we
clear.
did make that motion, when we made the motion, we made it contingent upon the prosecutor's approval. We didn't change that
But
because
that
somebody
didn't-
said we did
That
it
didn't
wrong.
make it to the minutes that we approved last week,
Okay.
which is why you made the statement, which is why you ended up
Yeah.
there.
And why we amend, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just, like I said, if somebody didn't know and was reading that,
I understand what you're saying.
okay. So is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
Okay, Mike? Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Gene?
Yes. Okay. We have no guests tonight, so we'll go with scheduled reports, and Chief Phillips, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. Year to date, or year to end of September, call runs. EMS calls, we had 373. Last year at the same time, we had 366. Total fire calls is 264. Last year is 249. Total calls are 637. Last year is 615. We're pretty close.
What's this year, 6 what?
637. Mutual aid given this year is 163. Last year is 131. Mutual aid received was 40. Last year is 44. Total transports is 268. Last year is 258. Total transports is 118. Last year is 137. Total transfers to other agencies, 6. Last year was 2. Total patients is 392, 397 last year. And our back-to-back calls is running at about 19.46%. That's it for my report.
Any questions for the chief from the board? Any questions for the chief from the audience? Thank you very much, chief.
Thank you.
Okay. How do you guys want to proceed right now? Do you want to go on with our reports and hold the 3-year road plan presentation at the end, or
Yeah, let's do
we're
it.
going to do that at the end? So we're going to hold you up.
That's fine.
Okay? All right, so we'll go to reports and we'll go to Michael Troy.
Okay. Last week, we discussed the ARPA funding and that we were passing, asked the fire department to get us a contract, and that the additional funding, we try to incorporate that into the contract, because we can't do the, just passing the grant over,
Sub-grant.
sub-grant.
Can't use that.
So they did as told. They gave us the information, which has been passed over to the prosecutor's office, and we wanted to get it to her early so she had enough time to do it before we have to, because we signed the contract typically the last meeting in December, but This way we should have it a little earlier, so we should be in good shape on that. And the only other thing is, Chief just got this, and I'm gonna read it. I thought he would have read it, but I'll pass it on here. This was an email that was sent to the fire department. It said, 1 week ago at 4:30 a.m., my husband woke me up when he fell. He was non-responsive at first. He was pale, cold, and clammy. I couldn't find a pulse. Breathing was shallow and slow. I called 911. Dispatcher was so good, keeping me calm and talking me through what to do. I heard him dispatch the squad. The squad was here within minutes. He hung up once they were here. The 3 MTs checked BP, which was 50/20. They immediately got the stretcher and carried him to the ambulance, worked on him, and left within minutes. It was serious. My husband is home. He is recovering, thanks to an amazing Auburn Fire Department Fire and Rescue. I'm not certain he would be here this Sunday morning without them. I always support our fire and rescue. They save lives. God is good. So it's congratulations to
Well, I'm happy he's home. That was posted on Nextdoor, that email.
So it's always
Thank you.
nice to get recognized.
Yeah.
At least I've heard. I've never been recognized for anything, but I heard it's nice.
Appreciate you reading that.
Okay, that's all I had, guys.
Patrick Kavanaugh.
Okay, just a couple things here. One is, I did say at the last meeting that there's some damage to the Adam Hall sign, and to me it looked like vandalism, but upon further review, we think that was, that's just some rotten wood underneath the frame of that sign. Nancy's chasing some estimates on repairing what we have there, and she's also looking into the people that made the Welcome to Auburn signs, what they might have that would be available. Any thoughts from you guys on that too? Fix what's there or replace?
I have no problem with the sign we have. I mean,
Yeah, just for that one corner.
yeah, I mean, if it can be repaired, if not, then, if it can't be repaired, then we'll have to look at.
It's, I'm sure anything's repairable. It was, the frame itself was built with untreated lumber. And, just enough snow and water set on there, sucked up water. Emmerich, you might know this. We talked at one point about backlighting that. Did we ever determine if there was a hole to get?
There's power at the pole. Yeah,
Is
light
it,
pole.
yeah, I wonder, is there, Harry Lockham did that masonry work, and I wonder if there's a conduit to get in there with a light.
I'll take a look.
Yeah, now'd be the time to do that,
Right,
if
yeah,
it works with
yeah,
that sign
yeah.
that we have there.
Yeah, but we do have it at the pole out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I have heard that over the years mentioned, that if you're coming to a wedding reception in the middle of winter and it's already dark, the sign isn't clear enough.
Will that illuminate from the inside?
I don't know, let's look at that.
I mean,
see if we can.
no spotlights on the outside.
If not, maybe now we'll try to get some spotlight on that or some uplight on that so it's more legible.
LED lighting available, it can be relatively inexpensive for the
Yeah,
material itself and not a lot of current draw.
yeah, we can't quite, Nancy and I worked on it, we can't quite discern where we bought that sign from. Maybe Lackamer sourced it for us, I don't know, I can't remember, I know you did the stonework. So, anyway, there's that, so it wasn't vandalism, it was nature.
That's good to hear.
Town Hall, of course, we did the new countertops over there just a couple months ago, and we have some damage over there. So, Gene, I know I'm on your turf here.
No, I
Nancy and
already-
I talked about it this
Yeah,
afternoon.
I
so-
did too.
Go ahead, you take that one.
Well,
And that'll be the end of my report anyway.
A young woman, I guess, rented it for an event, and she burned a hole in the new countertop. And one of our guys actually watched her do it.
Well, it was a contract.
Contractor. And Nancy called her. It was estimated it cost about $100 to patch that, and she had no problem as far as on the phone that she would bring that up and take care of that. So unfortunately, accidents happen, but that was a brand new countertop.
Yeah. The only thing I'd add to that is, you know, there's all kinds of where we can waive the fees for homeowners and groups and things like that at Town Hall. And it is a pretty popular building for smaller get-togethers. Should we have some type of damage retainer on that?
Well, don't we take a retainer?
We do
Well,
for
we-
Adam
We
Hall.
do
but
for Adam
Yeah,
Hall, but we don't over here.
Maybe we should. Maybe that's something we need to look at, put in the,
I mean,
let's get the.
let's say the,
Yeah,
certain, ex-homeowners association, they're not gonna be burning incense on the countertop, I'm quite sure. So it's rare that something like this is gonna happen, but you certainly don't wanna encourage it.
But still, whenever you got a stove involved, there's
Yeah.
always hot things that can damage a counter.
Well, you just gotta wonder would this person have done that, do it if somebody hadn't actually seen her do it. But, I don't know, I guess that's something for us to look at. Also, down at Adam Hall, did we pour the pad for the?
This week they're pouring.
We're pouring the pad this week for the generator that we may or may not see in April.
You should see in April.
Okay. And then we also have some other problems down there as far as pumps.
Correct, with one of the macerating pumps is
Okay.
down. It is a dual pump setup, so the one's able to handle it right now.
Right.
And I believe Kaufman's on there,
Kaufman's taking
sourcing
care
out
of
the
it.
part.
Yeah, we
Um,
signed a thing.
It is an older pump unit, I
Right.
believe they don't make that type of style of pump anymore.
Right.
So it's gonna source the part out to get that.
Okay,
up
so
now.
we're still good with
Yes.
the one pump. And as far as, we've been in contact with Chip Hess, he should have something to us shortly. In fact, he may have it to us already, and I think that's probably gonna cost us around $3,500 for what he's gonna do for us. And we already have the contract to remove the trees. Nancy was in contact with the gentleman from the Land Conservancy. He likes what we're doing, he's in agreement with what we're doing, and hopefully we can get this taken care of before the end of the year. Other than that, the only other thing I have is that I will be speaking to the Kenston third grade class on Wednesday on township government. Anybody needs a refresher on township government, I'll be doing that. And again, my file on pickleball keeps growing. Unbelievable. In fact, I hate the word pickleball right now. And other than that, Fred, it's all yours.
Okay, we've got payment listing in front of you for warrants 7427 through 7457, totaling $15,736.51. And we have a need for a supplemental appropriations for tax collection fees. These are fees charged to us by the county auditor's office. They get charged when taxes are distributed. This would be resolution 2022-35 for supplemental appropriations. I'll go ahead and read this into the record. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, that it is necessary to adopt the following: $2,712.85 supplemental appropriation to the general fund account 1,110,314 tax collection fees, and $10,866.34 supplemental appropriation to road and bridge account 2031,333,14 tax collection fees, $9,092.89 supplemental appropriation to special levy fire department account 2191,333,14 tax collection fees. The good news is that generally means we got more money than we anticipated. That's the resolution.
And so now we need a motion.
And we need a motion to pass the
Motion to
resolution.
adopt the resolution.
I'll second.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Gene?
Yes. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it for Fred?
Yep.
Okay, old business, again, Already mentioned the conservation amendment. We should be bringing that to a close very shortly. And now we're coming to new business, our proposed 3-year road plan presentation, which will be done by our road superintendent, Mr. Emmerich Gordon. Floor is yours.
All right, ready, PJ?
Yeah, as Gene said, Emmerich has worked diligently on this. We've had some good news and some bad news that's come pouring in the last couple of weeks here, and Emmerich's had to reconfigure a few things to make some grant monies available, fit into our budget, which we are intending on doing. And I want to also, before you get started, thank Nancy for helping us put this together.
Absolutely, yeah. One thing I think that strikes us right away is that this is a 3-year program, not a 5-year. You'll see in the year 2025 what we're faced with. Once again, these are new estimates that are supplied to us through the county, numbers to use for the process. Okay, budget updates. Since 2014, Auburn Township has budgeted $950,000 per year for capital improvement projects. The 2014 is when we had our 2 mill levy pass and enable us to do this. This includes road reconstructions, asphalt resurface, chip seal, crack seal, tree removal, and various ancillary projects. What we submit to the engineers doesn't always include the $50,000, that's a standalone project for crack seal that the township takes on itself, but it is included in the final budget number. Auburn's 5-year road plan was modeled to pave 4 miles of roadway per year, put in the life cycle at 14 years. The reason we did that, 453 miles, gives us our roughly 4 to 5 miles a year. The 14 years, our life cycles that we're given on our projects, subdivisions are given a life cycle of 15 years, but you pave at 13, optimally. Through roads are, the life cycle now is 12 years, you pave at the 10-year mark. So we figured that the 14-year overall for that would satisfy all the criteria there that they gave us to get the paving. We've been able to sustain that along with the conversion of chip seal to asphalt, which is a bigger dollar amount than just a typical resurface. Projected costs and inflation has directly impacted the township's ability to pave our anticipated road inventory that falls within that paving cycle. We've just have been given an update from the course of the summer to now, another $50,000 increase in the resurface of a typical asphalt 3 1/4 inch resurface. Estimating purposes in 2021, the number was $250,000 per mile. That's not lane mile, that's per mile. Typical asphalt resurface, which is a 3 1/4 to 3 1/2 inch lift over the existing surface. In 2023, the projected cost of resurface per mile has increased to $350,000. So that's a significant increase since just a couple years ago, $100,000 per mile. To keep within our current budget, the road program, we have amended it to reflect this. It's 3 miles of resurfacing and extending the life cycle to 18 years. Right now, currently, we are dealing with an inventory of roads that are hovering around 18 and 19 years. We're able to baby them to that year and then do the resurfacing at that time. The 3 miles represents a standard 3 1/4 inch resurface. We have been able to split that up and do only 2 miles of asphalt and 2 miles of chip seal, or extra chip seals, a lot less, and that still keeps us getting our 4 miles of surface. The real challenge here is that the chip seal inventory stands right now at 10 miles. We just converted Stafford Road from 44 to Messenger. We still have 10 miles of chip seal that we were aggressively turning over to asphalt the last 16 years. We did 7 miles in 16 years. Now with the new dollar amount, and when we see the reconstruction amount, it's really putting a hurdle in place. This is our asphalt road rating summary. It's done in lay term fashion. If you look to the right, you'll see, you'll see number 7 is new surface, no cracks, and so forth on down the line there. The total acceptable surface, the acceptable surfaces are 4, 5, 6, and 7. Anything that falls within a 3, 2, or 1 is automatically on the surfacing, resurface radar. We like to hover around 90% is where we like to be, which enables the program to continue on itself without, we haven't borrowed from the general fund in years. And we intend not to, just to adhere to our budget that we have. 84.72%, that's not a bad number. Once we tackle our asphalt next year, I think we'll be back up around 90 again. The number 2 is there, you see 0.67 miles. That represents one of our subdivisions that we're having some major issues in, and we'll see that later in the slides. Okay, proposed 3-year. Go ahead, PJ, you wanna do a slide or so, or?
Yeah, so 2023 projects are pretty much as we had planned earlier. There's
Yes.
really no adjustments to that. We're gonna chip seal Thorpe Road from Crackle to Taylor May, so that'd be the entire length. 2.15 miles, and an estimate there of just over 118,000. Asphalt resurfacing, that's a pretty extensive list for next year. All of these roads are 18, 19 years old. No, they'll be 19 at the time of resurfacing. Bridge Creek Trail and Longwood over here off East Washington. Frostwood, Golden Pond, and Sanctuary. So those are off of Crackle and Frostwood.
And Golden Pond and Sanctuary has the tree removal, which I went and
We
got
just
some.
signed,
Yeah.
yeah.
A beaver tree came in at $2,500, and you can't beat that price there. He did, actually, he's the one that suggested to me, can I remove the trees in the dead of winter? Absolutely. So we follow the
Best
Indiana
time to do
bat
it. Best time to do it.
window. That will take care of that. This 1998 at the top should be a 2003. Or
Yeah, that's
2004.
inaccurate.
Yeah, I'm gonna, let's see where we
That's
are.
all right, that's all right, that's one road, but yeah, they're all 2004, 2003 construction.
Yeah, up here in the, once again, we let off with the crack seal, but,
Yeah, and I wanna say that the reason, and I wanna interject too, that the reason we're able to take 13, 14-year lifespan roads is because this board and Mr. Gordon, who's been in charge here, we've been real aggressive to keep up with that crack seal every year. You skip that 1 year, you're losing 2-3 years of life on that road. So it looks like a small dollar amount, but it has a big effect.
Back on the chip seal here, if you look at the last surface, is 2018. Initially, when we started the chip seal program years and years ago, the idea was to chip every 2 to 3 years to build base. We're trying to build a road base, If you've driven our chips as of late, you'll see that they're very stable. We don't have a lot of degradation. You know, there's areas that need attention, for sure. But we've been able to do our chip rotation, our cycles, now within 4 and 5 years. So we're holding back on that. The chip estimate's 55,000 per mile is the new estimate that we've been given. These roads that we're gonna take here, unfortunately, a couple of them, I know that I talked with the engineers about Thorpe Road, its build-up is done, that would be south. It serves 2 subdivisions, it serves people coming from the other county. This is one that we would consider to do a conversion to asphalt. Unfortunately, I don't have width of the hard surface itself in spots, and we don't have the shelf. So for a 22-foot surface, which they like on through roads, they want a 26-foot shelf. We were able to pull off a 21-foot surface on Stafford over there with their blessings. We just didn't have the room there at the ends. That being said, this is one, along with Wing Road as well, that we've been considering to do a conversion, but when we see the price tag of this would be a reconstruction, what we did on Stafford, I think we're gonna have to start thinking differently here.
Yeah, we've done the occasional leveling course. I don't know with that road not having the width or the shelf for it, whether that'd be a good idea there.
Yeah.
Wing possibly might fit that criteria better.
Which I think we're gonna, if, we did that on Bartholomew, we did that on
Stafford by Messenger.
Yes,
yeah.
Messenger to Center. We did it on Barth that we just paid this year, that lasted its life cycle, where we did the leveling course and just the surface. Although maybe it didn't meet the 22-foot width, they were agreeable as to slapping the surface on that. But that may be the
Something we can look into, but as you see, as we go out a couple more years here, that's
Mm.
where the numbers really come into play.
Okay, that's that. Here's the project summary for 2023. Crack seal, you'll see at 50,000. Asphalt resurface, 2.17 miles at 759,500. Tree and brush removal at 2,500 bucks. And the chip seal at 118,250. If you look in the star on the left, we do consider putting chip as adding a surface. We're at 4.32 miles of surface that year. Estimated cost $932.50, and that's utilizing the $350,000 estimate per mile.
Yeah, 35% essentially
Mhm.
is what these increases are. It's crazy.
2024 crack seal project, you'll see once again, we always lead off with maintenance, $50,000. Chip seal project, Stafford Road, Valley Road, you see that was done in 2017. That comes in at $218,350. The next under there is the OPWC funded asphalt resurface of these roads here. We have been in touch with the engineer's office. Some funding became available, $250,000, by the way. And we've been working with engineers closely the last couple of weeks to get this in and do the pre-app for the OPWC funding. If you look, it has to be through roads. It can't be a subdivision. The through roads that we found that we could take this on would be Quinn and Bartholomew. And their figure was $800,000, and we would do a $400,000 matching amount. PJ, you want to get on this OPWC here?
Yeah, this is projects that were, where this money came from was projects that were awarded in a previous cycle, and for whatever reason, the municipality or township decided they couldn't take that project on to meet the grant criteria, so OPWC has been kind of adamant about, instead of holding on to their, keeping this committed money, townships and municipalities need to turn that back if they're not intending to do the project in a timely fashion. So that's where this came from, and this really kind of came out of the blue. Emmerich mentioned that some of the criteria to get that money, as you'll see when we go into the next calendar year, where the initial thought was to go, but it can't go there. We had to find through roads, collector roads that are going to meet that criteria, and Emmerich, I think if we're, you're gonna be looking at 13-year-old age on most of those, and 20 on another. Yeah, we did a pre-application because we had to meet this quickly. This all happened in the last, 3 weeks? Yeah, in the last 3 weeks. So, quite honestly, we thought about doing this presentation at the first meeting in October, and if we did, we'd have to say, well, never mind. So this will be the final revision of this. If you look through some of the application stuff, I think some of it's here. The scoring of projects, the criteria for that is here too, and it's quite interesting. It goes everywhere from how many residents are served by this project to what the median income is, and everything in between. Emmerich, you worked through that list. We're good. As long as we get the application done right and on time, we're good here. So this is some money that we did not expect to be available.
Right, I think
And it's, we're gonna capitalize on this every chance we get, at least that's my thought.
You know, the
So,
climate today, you can't walk away from
Right.
250,000, so. There's asphalt resurface under that, Edinburgh and Edward Lane. You'll see those are, will be about 19 years as well. Total on that is 909,850.
So if we get the 250, when would that funding be available?
The way this is gonna work is we're gonna do just like Stafford will be awarded in 2023. Construction will start in 2024, as long as you're within that calendar year of receiving it and the beginning of the project. So those will be let go early in the year for bidding. So I'm curious to see where at that point in time, so.
Yeah, we were really concerned here, and I really was on the board here too at the time when our contractor kind of left us holding the bag on Stafford Road about keeping that money tied up for the additional year. And we worked through that. It was, everybody was, our county engineer and OPWC was fully understanding of what was going on there and why we needed the extra year. But then further research, and I sit on that OPWC committee, yeah, there's places mostly to the north, next county up, they'll sit on project money for 6-7 years at a time without even initiating the project. And that's what they've gone after lately, which is where this money came from.
They took it away from them?
They eventually they made them renege on that, or not renege, but that actually decommit from doing these projects. You know, and you'll have it like, maybe they don't have the matching funds. Maybe if it's on a road that requires a lot of widening, you could have residents being upset about taking their ornamental trees that have been there for 5,000 years down, things like that. So, you know, they might, for whatever reason, these projects have, the money's committed, so it's not available to anybody else, but then the projects never happen, and they've cracked down on that in the last 2 years.
Once again, this program is fluid. It can change. We are doing the pre-application. It looks like our numbers are good, that we could be on the receiving end of this, so hopefully it does come in, and we should know here within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, this looks good, yeah. So that's the good news.
That's the good news.
We've discussed this in the past at board meetings, what's happened in this
We have a subdivision
subdivision.
that is in disrepair. It's been a hotbed of building this summer. I believe all the lots have almost sold. I think there's 1 or 2 lots left. It's the Moreland subdivision. The road is literally disintegrating under the contractor's wheels of their trucks, and it's putting when they drive across it. We did some patching in there. I'll continue to do patching until we can get to this 2025 and see where we go with this. I want you to look at the costs. This was just handed to us. A reconstruction for 1 mile of road in a subdivision is $1 million. Today's estimate of $1 million per subdivision mile represents a 63% cost increase over the last 6 years. The last subdivision reconstruction was Ascot and Belmont, if you guys remember, 1.14 miles in 2016. That was 612. We're now looking at $1 million to do a reconstruction. OPWC funding is not available for subdivision, resurface, or reconstruction. You take on a subdivision, you're on your own as far as maintenance, reconstruction, or anything. There's no grants available to take care of these projects. I'm hoping that this isn't going to stay like the trajectory stay the same, because we're using a number today for 2025. We could be looking at $1,250,000 if we stay on the same trajectory.
This is part of the reason, instead of, you know, in the past, we've done 5 years out.
Right. This is why we stopped at 3
Realistically, we can't go
years.
much further than this right now.
I tried to extrapolate farther, and because of the way inflation's working and these numbers are coming to me at such a such a change so quickly, it's hard to put 5 years out there.
Yeah, we can, anything the fourth and fifth year out right now is wishful thinking.
Right. The .77 miles at the top you see there, the cul-de-sacs that are there, they're solid cul-de-sacs, there's no island in the middle, so they give a 1/10 per mile paving allowance for the cul-de-sac. So that really puts it at .97 miles, which, you know, Shane called it, we call it a mile. So we're looking at $1 million. Hopefully, over the course of the next 2 years, all the buildup is done. My conversation with the engineers, they wouldn't like construction happening the same time we do a reconstruction, if we do a reconstruction. Going down there with my guys and doing the repairs, and PG, I think we need to huddle up on this. I think we need to look at just doing some extensive repairs with a possible surface. Now, I met with 3 engineers down there, all 3 of them had the same sentiment. It looks like it's a reconstruction. So,
I can't see how it's not.
if you look at how it's crumbling and what we have as far as base material. In 2020, the engineers took it unto themselves, because they saw this happening time and again, to redo the subdivision specifications and requirements for developers putting in a new subdivision. What they require now is a minimum of 12 inches of stabilized base with cement. On top of that, they want 6 inches of base material, 1.5 inches of intermediate, and another 1.5 inches of top. In effect, what they're saying, that'll give us a 21-inch stabilized surface to drive on. So what we have now initially is 6 inches of asphalt instead of 9.5 or up to 10 over that base that they put in. It may be a deterrent to someone that is a developer to put in such a road surface. Maybe it'll slow down the development out here, I don't know, but it is going to be a lot higher dollar amount for them to install a road in there with that. The other thing as well, some of the language was changed in there, where there's a guarantee over the course, I believe it's 1 year, and to season through a winter, and see if there's any type of degradation or any type of failures. And then it holds the developer responsible to come back in and do those repairs within the first year. Our scenario, PJ and guys, has been within 5 years we saw it. Some roads going back to just gravel, 100-foot stretches in some of these subdivisions. Unfortunately, now we're looking at newer subdivisions being put in, and the Joneses are here, they had to deal with this. What we had in the past, we've had Jennifer, Lindsay, White Oak, Auburndale, Chickasha, Eastwood, Derbyshire, Colchester, Ascot, and Belmont all have gone through reconstruction because of this. Now, if we add more than Cooper and Jensen to that, that's a long list, and the way this dollar figure looks now, we can't afford any other subdivisions in the future to crumble under our tires, basically.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, this is a big bite to take on here. But that was one of the last subdivisions that went in before that 2008 crash. I don't think we've taken on any mileage since then? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
Haven't we, I remember some roads that, where we got the situation where we did a chip seal over top of it as a precautionary measure. We did that with the
That was the
Meadows.
That was the Meadows.
The Meadows has base.
Right.
These roads lost their base,
So
and
this
they
would
actually,
not help.
yes.
And Mike, I'm just gonna interject, of course, we did the Stafford Road project with weekly meetings there, and there was plenty of discussion of what they found at the bottom of that hill, which is all organics underneath Stafford Road, and that's exactly what this road was built on as well, because we met right here on, was it Moreland, is that the name of that road there? It was poorly constructed, that's without a doubt. And as I was going in there and driving around and, turning around to meet the county engineer people and the contractor, you could see lumber trucks moving. I saw an empty one coming out of there, and I'm not kidding you, that road sunk 6 inches underneath that
Road's
truck. You
pumping.
could see it. Yeah, it's pudding. He's absolutely right.
Well, we had actual areas of mud.
Yeah, so chip sealed, that's not the answer there. That really, I wish it was.
Yeah, so this, I think we need to huddle up now with the engineers and just beat this up and see what we can do to bring this number down. There's,
Yeah, well, we've got a couple levies on the ballot this, in the next month here, and voters have been very supportive over the years, and Emmerich and I, and this board here is committed to try to live with the budget we have for as long as we possibly can here. There was no discussion of any replacements or new levies or anything. How can we make this work? Well, then suddenly we get this grant money come available, and this is how it's gonna work for 3 years. This is how we're gonna try to keep on track with the current funding, and we're gonna ask for voter support again for the levies that we have up, and I think you see this has been pretty thoroughly researched, and adjustments made to take advantage of funding we didn't expect, and this is how it's gonna, we're hoping to proceed, so.
yeah. Now, our issue is, can we shoulder this? We have in the past, up to $1 million. The thing is, what do we do with the other 52 miles of road? Yeah, and so,
Yeah, this is a tough one
This-
here.
this is a tough one. We have to give it, as much service as we can to these people and keep the program rolling, so. Okay, ending thoughts. Here you go, boss.
Yeah, as I just said, we think 3 years out we can do this, depending on, considering the funding we have currently, and we're gonna ask the voters to continue on that track and support this program. That's about it. We were gonna just try to keep the high quality service and try to be as efficient as we can be. Anybody else want to add anything to that, or a question or two, or?
Very good work on this, there's a lot of thought put into it.
Yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, I'd like to make some questions or observations. This issue of these roads, these new developments, hasn't this problem occurred here in Auburn Township on maybe one or two previous occasions?
He's got the
I
whole
just-
list.
I just read
He's
through
got
the whole list. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a whole list, yes, sir.
Well, if it's a reoccurring issue and you deal with it because you're hands-on, why hasn't something been done about this?
They redid the subdivision specifications and regulations to provide a more substantial base for the road when the development's built. Those are the numbers I was going through, the 12-inch Portland cement base.
When was that implemented?
2020 was the
Okay,
change.
so
Any new
it took them
subdivision.
that long to change the rules, which they did in 2020, so roads that are being built now in the future won't be an issue, but we're still catching up with all the ones that were done prior to 2020, where we're having this problem.
There was a time when the developer only had to take the road as far as the next house. Remember that, right?
Well, I don't remember a lot of specifics. I just remember there seems to have been a problem with, in recent years, from what I recall, where the county, and perhaps in conjunction with the township, but I won't say that because I don't know for sure, they come by and they say, well, this road is approved.
Oh, you're talking about the installation of a subdivision.
The end result is what I'm talking about.
We had that scenario with that subdivision right there at 44. right?
Ascot and Dull.
That's the ones I
No,
read.
before,
I already
no, the
mentioned
one
that.
before that. the
I
one
read
was
that Derby
Derbyshire.
Derbyshire, that was the
Colchester.
first one, remember, it was falling apart before it was even finished.
They were both done twice, stabilized. Yeah.
Lindsay Lane, too.
Yes,
Lindsay,
Lindsay, Jennifer, yeah.
Yep. Whole road caved in.
Well, if you
Yeah.
remember at the cul-de-sac, it was gravel. It
Yeah.
just, there was no road left. And the worst part is, it's not a through road, not a lot of truck traffic, not a lot of, so it just disintegrated on its own.
Yeah, I have, I'm not an engineer, and we and develop the subdivision, the regulations for construction of the roads. That's the county and the county that does that, and these roads that were constructed to and then approved to have met the specs at the time. Now, there's been technology improvements. I mean, 20 years ago, you heard very little about concrete stabilization on the roads. Now it's standard.
Because Carl has always talked about the importance of concrete, right?
Well, I'm not talking about concrete today.
No, but,
But
Well, this is stabilization
Yeah.
under the road, in
Yeah.
the base.
Yeah.
Carl used to talk about concrete roads, period. So,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
no, concrete does not enter this
No, it
discussion
doesn't.
at this point. No, it's frustrating to hear that the township here and its residents and the people who do business in and within the township are in a situation where this is 2022 and we still don't know how to build roads?
The last road that we accepted was Moreland, and the one that we were talking about, that was 2005.
2005.
So we haven't accepted a subdivision for years and years, 19 years at least, right?
Well,
Or
Is
18 years or so.
Jensen Court one of those also that had a problem?
Cooper and Jensen are off of Moreland.
Right.
Yeah, it's
right.
starting to
I seem to
unravel.
remember Jensen was a problem.
Yeah, Jensen's unraveling right now, so I have some work to do down there
I mean,
before springtime.
20, from 2005 to 2025 is 20-year.
Mhm.
You're gonna expect to have to resurface that road. You don't expect the total failure we have in
Right.
Moreland. It's not, yeah, that's
Well, what are
not
they doing different now than what they did 40 years ago?
concrete
40?
stabilization
Yeah,
for one.
when like Longview Trail was put in 40.
I can't tell you, I do believe Longview and Bridge Creek did have some type of stabilization involved. I'd have to go back and look at the records. I thought they used two different techniques, so if I,
But you just went over what the change was at the
Mhm.
county level, what they're
Right.
requiring now for new installations.
correct, yeah.
But that's not got anything to do with this. That will be the next subdivision that comes in,
Mhm.
so.
So have they dropped their standards, the builders, over the last 40 years?
Have they dropped their standards? I can't tell you, I wasn't there, so in the court of law, I can't tell you what they did. As far as installation or,
It wasn't until 2020 where they improved the standards. And basically, prior to that, as we're seeing now, the standards that the county had implemented were inadequate for the roads to last the duration that we needed them to last.
Because, I mean, Longview was put in, what, 42 years ago maybe? And we've had one resurfacing, this will be the second, but the road never fell apart.
right. Product was better back then as well, don't forget. The EPA has changed all the components. They, with the AC and other thing, they add emulsions and stuff now, so it's a little bit different animal than what we were dealing with in the past.
That's what
As
I
far
was
as the
getting-
asphalt itself.
Oh,
So,
okay.
was it stronger? I believe so. I believe concrete in the 70s was stronger too, you know, so. But hopefully this, what they have implemented will take care of us in the future. We have to just get by what we have left in our inventory if it does suffer the same thing. And you know the location, and if you look at Colchester, Derby, Moreland, all the ones over there, you know, there maybe some type of soil, there's some type of commonality there that lies under the road, so.
If I'm hearing Carl right, though, it's sounding like, wait, how come we keep having the same problem over and over and over? We're not, because those were 2005 subdivisions that are now becoming a problem. So it sounds like, boy, we're having the problem again, we're having a problem. We are, but the standards have been changed from 2005 when those roads were accepted to what we're doing now, Carl. So it's not something that's happening over and over, if I'm hearing right, because of it's still going on. It's because these roads were accepted subdivisions in 2005, and you're right, the standards weren't up to par, and the county's trying to make amends by changing those standards, but we still have to live with the problems that were created from 2005 and before,
Previous,
up
yeah.
to now.
Well, I won't say anything much more other than I'm thinking of the township and I'm thinking of the people who represent the township, and I'm not necessarily saying that this is all thrown onto your lap, but this whole issue, from what I've been listening to over the years, and it's, I forgot to put my tooth in, is that we're like a dog chasing its tail. That's where we're at. Thank you for listening.
Any other comments, questions?
Thank you, Emmerich.
Emmer, nice job, thank you. Very well. All right. That ends the new
Always
business.
excellent work, Emma.
Okay.
You always do excellent work.
I gotta say, we boiled this down, it's kind of the Reader's Digest version of what we've been doing for some of the reasons we stated. But as I was here this afternoon late, the News Herald called and asked if they had any information pertaining to our road department and the levies. And Nancy says, I can email that to you right now, so.
Well, and I think the issue of just not Auburn Township, but every township in the state of Ohio is with, as you can see, the cost going up $100,000
Yeah.
in a year or a couple of years. Everybody's gonna have a hard time trying to keep up with their programs, as Emmerich has done for the last how many years with all these new figures. I mean, a 63% increase is hard to swallow and keep up with your program. And we're not the only ones gonna have that program or problem. The county's gonna have it, the state's gonna have it. And one point that was made is absolutely right. These products are not as good as they were in the 70s. The concrete's not as good, the oil-based products are not as good, and that's a fact of life. Okay, Kristen's here?
Yes.
He's here, okay. So, we are going to go into executive session to conference with the board's attorney concerning pending court action pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22. And we may or may not come out,
G3.
G3, I'm sorry, G3.
Doing the abbreviated stuff here, okay?
Boy, yeah,
You should learn.
yeah.
The kind of people that get us in trouble, Kristen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep you out of it.
He keeps touching the hot stove, you
It's
know?
the new
Yeah.
guy.
Is this the same issue, for which you have come the last couple of times, or is this a different?
It's the pending litigation, yeah, it's the same case.
Same pending litigation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion made,
Second. You make the motion?
I made the motion.
I'll
Good
second.
try.
I tried, I forgot G3,
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Gene,
G3. Yes.
Personnel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we are. We are, yeah.
Too early in Mental.
Oh, it's
It's
too
too early in Mental too.
Yeah, it's just been that kind of year, all the way around, truly.
Let's get